Hello class, welcome to video 2 for Small Business Management. Again, my name is Professor Schwartz, and today we're going to be talking about starting up and the family business. Now, when you're first developing your small business, it's usually referred to as a startup because as the name implies, you're just starting out. But what does it encompass for a person to decide that they're going to go ahead and go all out and actually develop their own business? Also, taking into account how some businesses actually partner up with their family members, what type of factors and features differentiate these family businesses from all the other businesses that are out there? Well, today we're going to talk about that, and hopefully by the end of this class, you could take some of the key aspects that allow these people to be successful and apply it to your own lives. So let's go ahead and get started. When we review motivation behind why people start a business and why people work, we find that there are similar motivations. A TED Talk by Dan Pink describes that people long for autonomy, mastery, and purpose. He makes the case that when things are designed not to incentivize an outcome, but rather with social utility in mind, people come and give their all to the work. Studies have shown time and time again that the evidence is unanimous and that the pointy stick and carrot on a string do not motivate product behavior. Implicitly, it also means that our best work can't come from being paid to do a good job. It comes from something much deeper. Some find that this deep fulfillment in the jobs that they maintain, while others go outside of conventional careers to develop other opportunities. As we talk about in class, those great leaders and innovators were able to push themselves and those around them because of what they represented. This deep, intrinsic notion of something greater. They dug deep inside, integrated themselves with it, and used it to motivate others. For this class, we will call these deeply motivating purposes and important ideas values. These values are important with respect to business because they can resonate with others as well and act as a motivation towards a goal. To motivate a team, perhaps to motivate employees, or to motivate others towards a meaningful end. So the question is, what are your values and are you acting on it? There's many reasons that motivate us to wake up in the morning and take risks. But the follow-up questions we ask today, are those reasons enough to open a business? Dr. Barry Schwartz' study on motivation behind work describes how we innately know that money does not answer our visceral need for purpose and value. He's a proponent of us actually continuing to work for the pursuit of ideas and creative innovations. In fact, he would even say that we would pursue monotonous work for developing new idea technology. Technology is defined as the development of new processes, functions that create an output based on an input of resources. We don't think of our body as a form of technology, but that may be in part to the lack of understanding we have of our bodily functions and neural processes. That being said, ideas are resources in themselves and can be an end to itself. Though we develop our ideas through work, we may also work to develop ideas. That's what Dr. Schwartz was implying. That those who study, toil, and hustle do so to expand their knowledge and understanding. Ideas are fuel to our motivations and work. According to a study done by the National Federation for Independent Business, the largest source of inspiration is from prior experience. This reinforces that experience and learning can be motivation for work. It should, too, be motivation for starting a business. Reality tells us that we may not know our purpose, but we long for it. When a person says that their life is meaningless, it's not that they lack meaning or feeling. It's that they feel anxious and depressed about the future. This is a hell no one should live. We find that working allows an opportunity to both create and find meaning and value. This being the most prevalent reason often leads businesses to be designed to fail quickly and cheaply. This is so you can get the most value out of the experience in the most inexpensive way. And if they are able to fail quickly, they can pivot and adjust to a new, more lucrative opportunity. This trend in the environment reflects not just common practice, but also the best practices, which we will go in detail much later. Before process, priority, and due diligence comes a mindset, the entrepreneurial mindset. The biggest mistake entrepreneurs make is not distinguishing the forest from the trees. And what that means is they nitpick at what they want to look at, but don't see the bigger picture. What I want to help you guys avoid is to be pigeonholed into something that isn't going to be lucrative for you and is going to cost you more in the long run. The entrepreneurial mindset encompasses the following to help avoid these pitfalls: an awareness of opportunities, opportunity recognition, entrepreneurial alertness, and an openness to the learning and growth. The mindset is not limited to those aspects, but I believe that these three values are prerequisites for opening a business. If you are thinking about opening a business but lack any one of these three aspects, you may want to consider developing these traits first. Opportunity recognition is the ability to identify the potential of new ideas, products, or services. These may lead to promising businesses, or they may not, but the point is that you are aware of what is going on around you and how to exploit or manipulate your surroundings to create advantages and opportunities. Entrepreneurial alertness is the readiness to act on such opportunities. This requires you to be awake and always in a position to make the most out of every shot. These two principles are the foundation for the American economy. It's the land of opportunity for a reason, but it also requires one to prepare themselves to make the most out of those opportunities. Finally, openness generally means that you allow yourself to take in and experience a person or a condition in order to learn from them, or to change because of it. Because we never really think about how we interpret ideas, we never really think about thinking. It may not have occurred to you that we can process experiences differently from most others. Once we realize, though, that we can alter how we interpret ideas, how we should see things, and how we can draw from these experiences real meaning, we can begin to extrapolate value from places others can't. This is the key to entrepreneurship. Unfortunately, institutions are oriented in production, which tend to shape ideas to be dull. They are not properly oriented yet in developing entrepreneurs, but even under the circumstances of schoolings and grades and tests, one can learn about business simply by setting up shop. The high percentage of failure may turn off even the top students who prefer the safe environment of a lab or a classroom. But if you adjust your mindset to fail forward, you can turn even upsets into learning experiences. Therefore, whether the experience is a failure, a mess, a trauma, or something positive, we can develop meaning, technology, and purpose to impact our daily lives in a positive way. In doing so, we can take our problems and turn them into opportunities. We can then patent or sell the solution, which extends from this new idea technology. Successful businesses do this over and over again. Hence, these three aspects are important to have going into a business. So let's say you decide to start a business. Your next step should encompass a priority approach, meaning you prioritize opportunities in orders and in sequences based on values, return on investment, and its cost to you. Utility is an economic term which defines how you would measure how useful or valuable something is to you. Utility's defining feature is that it has a diminishing return or usefulness the more of something you have, meaning that after about the 20th pizza slice you eat, within an hour, you are less likely to want the 21st or even the 22nd pizza slice, even if it is your favorite dish. Similarly, Things, experiences, and ideas can lose their utility over time and use. The next piece is revenue, which is the cash flow and money earned from running your business. This also determines the value of your business. Business that generates more and more money more quickly are more valuable. Even if the business makes the same amount of money, if it takes longer to generate it, then it's not as valuable as one that creates that value quickly. Finally, you review how much it will cost you to execute a business model or strategy. In most cases, you will find that some of the ideas have only 2 or 3 aspects that are appealing. But as far as what you do, one should prioritize based on which provides the highest utility at the lowest cost, the highest profit margin, which is just your revenue minus your cost, or has the lowest risk, meaning the most expensive endeavor should be at the bottom of your priority list. Deciding factors on why people start a business or run away is like a balancing act. You balance the threat of new competition, threat of substitution, intense rivalry, the bargaining power of suppliers and buyers, with the attractiveness and profitability of the target market. Now, when I talk about target market again, that is in reference to the people that we're targeting with our product and business. If after reviewing that, you decide you still want to open a business, the next aspect you should consider are the following. Your resources, which are the basic inputs or aspects to use for the business. What is your bare minimum to start? These resources could be tangible, like food, cashiers, workers, or intangible, like education, training, or time. The next thing you want to consider is capabilities. The capabilities of a firm is defined by the processes used to produce the product or services they are selling. What are your core competencies? The distinguishing factors of your firm or business that allow you to compete and reflect a culture and focus. What is your competitive advantage? What's the benefit that exists only with your firm when you have a product or service that your competition does not have? Finally, since you may be getting into business with your friends, family, and associates during the early years, it's important to start thinking about the different structures accessible to you and your business. You can own your own business as a sole proprietorship, you can partner up with someone and develop a partnership, or you can become a corporation to protect yourself and your assets from risk. Regardless, there still needs to be some capital in order to start. The reason I bring up capital is your capital is what you put into a company to make it run. Working capital, or current assets, are assets that can be quickly converted to cash. So your capital may not necessarily even be something you could sell or money itself, but it can be the time, sweat, and hustle you put into your business. Valuating that time is important because what you yourself put into the business should account for your equity or ownership. This value of what you invest relative to the overall value of the business entitles you to a percentage of ownership, cash flow, and equity. In turn, when family is involved, things like equity, work relationship, and structure can be a bit complex. However, as we will point out, when done effectively, you can avoid some of the risks that are associated with generally opening a business. This is because family's primary function is to support each other, its members, financially, physically, and emotionally. Fundamentally, a business is created in order to offer services and goods to these same groups of members, and in turn, it creates value for its employees, stakeholders, and owners. Due to the demanding nature of each situation that compromise the capabilities of family members are commonplace, yet in order to maintain lifestyles, one may find themselves opening a service-centered business, or to create a legacy, develop a highly differentiated product that can provide value for generations to come. Regardless of the reason, family businesses experts agree. The legacy and generational transitions of ownerships are some of the distinguishing factors that separate the family business from its counterpart. Considering the stringent requirements, processes, and exorbitant costs of credit associated with banks, it comes to no surprise that we find business startups with seed money from family and friends. Aside from the obvious, that most friends and families don't charge interest, sponsorship may come naturally to a parent that wants to see their child excel. This is another added benefit to having family involved in your business. It's also important to note that though the purpose of a business is to maximize profit, non-financial factors in a family firm can affect the commitment of family members. This is based on what our textbook calls socio-emotional wealth. Maximizing the closeness or love of a family unit may be compromised if the values of the company don't align with the values of the family. The acronym FIBER helps to outline the dimensions which socio-emotional wealth are developed. FIBER, the F, family control. I, identification with the firm. B, binding social ties. E, emotional attachment. And R, renewal of bonds through the dynasty. Governance and responsibility requires roles and delegation. And this is why publicly traded family companies perform just as well, if not better, than non-family corporations under these circumstances when they do this properly. It's important that family members recognize that skill and expertise are valuable to any business, especially if they're working in your business. Problems like nepotism arise, however, when unqualified people are put in positions of power. Other times, because children of owners are groomed for leadership positions, it often leaves little room for promotion with outsiders. Having an open door policy when it comes to hiring and promoting processes is important, as most careers are never guaranteed. Having a family business at that same time does not mean that you can't seek leadership and management help from outside of the family. Family retreats are also a method to do this. Family retreats act as both a way to begin a new start, process, or stage in the business, while also investing in the socio-emotional wealth of the company and family. Again, this is a way to emphasize open communication among employees and family alike. By setting an agenda and ground rules, communication can go smoothly and succinctly. Equally as important, family can spend quality time aside from the work as well. Setting up a board of family councils and advisors ensures that conversations continue and that values, policies, and planning can be discussed in a timely fashion. Some members of the family may want to avoid conflict and not bring it up. Unfortunately, this may cause them to harbor resentment and make the situation increasingly troublesome the longer they avoid dealing with it. So to recap, entrepreneurs draw from many different places to acquire their business ideas, but it's a matter of taking your experiences and making them your own. Second, deciding to start a business, what kind, and when to start are all based on deciding factors and values you have in the moment that you're deciding them. Taking the time to review these things can prevent loss. And finally, family businesses have advantages that help them compensate the risk associated with starting a business. It is recommended that one should run their business like a family business, as it takes into account the relationships we develop with our employees. And with that, this is Professor Schwartz bringing you video number 2. Thank you so much for tuning in, and go ahead and start quiz number 2 and also assignment number 2. Take care, guys.